And we're back with our roundtable this morning talking about the president's political position as his first year in office comes to a close. Ed Gillespie, let's look at some of the numbers from our poll this week. The president's approval rating, as I noted before, below 50%. That's at 47%. Handling the economy, 51% disapproval. Handling of foreign policy, this is the bright spot at 49% over 42%. He was at a high in terms of approval rating of 61 back in April. What's happened?
I think he's moved way too far to the left, interestingly, in contrast to others here on the panel today. And independent voters are moving away from him in droves. Republican intensity is through the roof. I think when you look at approval of Congress, Democrats in Congress versus Republicans in Congress, Resurgent Republic, the organization I founded, did some research and found 55 years and older voters, 2-to-1 say that they trust Republicans to handle the issues they care about, independents in that survey, over Democrats. We haven't seen numbers like that since 94 when Joe Scarborough and others came in to win the House back for Republicans. I think we're looking at that kind of scenario. It's early yet, but if things remain constant between now and November, I think Democrats are truly at risk of losing the House.
It's interesting, Joe, on that point. Look at this, the right track, wrong track direction of the country. And we know that this is also a measure of independent support in the country. Right track, 33%, wrong track, 55%, gets a little closer to where the country was in November of 2008. And it was noted this morning, if you look at our poll, the number of people who think this Congress is the worst ever is actually higher than it was back in 1994.
Unbelievable. I know. And even worse than when I was in Congress, which is saying a hell of a lot. But, no, David, the real problem with Barack Obama's first year has been all these distractions. And health care has been a huge distraction for him. I know this is very, very important to the base, but he's been talking about health care reform. We've been talking about Afghanistan. We've been talking about cap and trade. We've seen him go to Copenhagen twice. I mean, it is jobs, jobs, jobs. The campaign slogan of the year. Bob's for jobs. In the end, it's all about jobs. Tavis was talking about 4 or 5 issues where he showed incrementalism, where he needed to be more bold. No, it all comes down to the economy. If there's a silver lining in this ugly health care debate that's finally come to an end, it's that the president can reset going into 2010 and focus on the economy, focus on jobs. He needs to be in Youngstown, Ohio instead of Copenhagen. He needs to be in Cleveland instead of Oslo. He needs to focus on reviving this economy.
You can't talk about healthcare and Afghanistan being distractions. They're the reason that Obama won the White House and Democrats won control of Congress, including big, massive support from independents. Independents knew what they were voting for when they voted for Obama and the Democrats. I think the problem with Obama's numbers and Congress's numbers is that people voted for a Congress and a president that was going to take on entrenched interest. Now, Republicans have jumped off the Obama bandwagon from day one. They were never aboard. Independents have sort of been unhappy because I think independents really want results. And we haven't seen a lot of results. We've seen a lot of bickering, and most of it has been internally within the Democratic Party. And I think that's why they're turning off. And a lot of Democrats are becoming disenchanted.
I think one of the things that cost him with independence is he has lost this. One of the biggest assets he had in terms of his identity was the post-partisan identity, and that has gone by the wayside. I think people see this White House as very partisan, harshly partisan.
You've been through this before.
Yeah.
I mean, George Bush came to town saying he was going to change the tone, be a uniter, not a divider, and ended up governing from the right on issues coming right out of the chute with tax cuts and all the rest. So there is something about Washington. It's not just the people who come here.
But David, let me say, when President Bush passed those tax cuts, 12 Senate Democrats voted for his tax relief plan. No Child Left Behind got bipartisan support. Medicare prescription drug bill got bipartisan support. He did not jam these things through with a straight party line vote, and that's what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, you had a Democratic Party that was willing to actually negotiate in good faith.
You had a center-right agenda with a center-right country, and Democrats voting for something they knew was going to be popular back in their districts, not voting for bills that are opposed by a majority of the country.
That center-right agenda was completely repudiated by this nation in 2006 and 2008.
We'll see.
Let me on this unity thing, I want to bring something up. This was the president talking about unity that you were all talking about here. And Tavis, I want to bring you in on this. This is what he said in October of 2008 about what he was going to do in Washington. Listen.
In 1 week, we can choose hope over fear and unity over division. The promise of change over the power of the status quo. In 1 week, we can come together as one nation and one people and once more choose our better history. That's what's at stake.
Way back in January, if you look at our polling, the question was, looking ahead, will 2009 be a time of unity? 48%. Division? 45%. In December, looking back, in fact, 12% unity, division 81%. Tavis?
That's why campaigning and governing are obviously two very different things. And that's why, back to the word of the day, you have to stand on your principle. You have to know why you were elected, what you came to Washington to accomplish. Keep your eye on the ball. I disagree here with Joe. These other issues, all these issues the president has tried to address this year are not distractions. Markos is right about this. The president doesn't have the luxury of looking at a checklist and walking down the list and checking off done, done, done. It doesn't work that way. You have to work on all these issues at the same time. Having said that, though, Joe is right about the fact that it's about jobs, jobs, jobs. It's especially about jobs in black America, where we are triple the national average, in some places quadruple the national average of unemployment. And I think, quite frankly, with all due respect to Time Magazine, giving Ben Bernanke the Man of the Year honor is like, how might I put this? It's like giving an arsonist a citation of merit for starting a fire and then rushing to put it out. I mean, no talk here about the role that he and others played in getting us in this mess, but now we want to celebrate them for trying to get us out. I think it's irresponsible. We got to keep our eyes on the jobs, but the truth has got to be told in Washington about how we got in this mess, David.
Joe, we're on now the brink of a new year. How does the president reset and move forward, change some of this dynamic? His approval, relations with Republicans.
Well, he's got to reach out to Republicans that want to work with him on issues. He's got some great opportunities. Politico reported a few weeks back he was going to focus on the deficit. Now, he can't do a whole lot with the economy sagging, but he certainly can find some allies there. Education reform. I'm really excited by what I hear from Secretary Duncan, what I hear from the president about the fact that he's going to take on teachers' unions. He's going to go into schools that have been problematic in the past and really talk about real reform. He can do that, and also he can stop deferring to Nancy Pelosi and Henry Waxman and Democrats on Capitol Hill. This year has been a year of deference where he's deferred, like, for instance, on the stimulus package. This started very early, by the way, where the president came up with an outline that a lot of Republicans said, you know what, we may be able to go along with that. They marched Axelrod and Larry Summers up to the Hill. Democrats said, no, we're in charge now. And so the division started right away. I would like to know from either Tavis or Markos, where has he reached out to Republicans in a meaningful way? Because I haven't seen it one time.
Well, let me, Markos, let me, because we've litigated some of that.
I'll let Tavis take that.
Well, no, but I want to ask you, as you look forward to the next year, Markos, and you can address. Hold on, Tavis. What does the president need to address to keep his own party in line? Should there be personnel changes in the White House? What do you think the left is going to demand?
Well, 2006 is going to be a base year. It's going to be a base election.
2010. Yeah.
I mean, 2010. Yeah. And according to my own polling, we use independent pollster, 86% of Republicans plan on turning out or are likely to turn out. Only 56% of Democrats are similarly believe they're going to turn out or likely to turn out. Only 32% of African Americans. Only 41% of 18 to 29-year-olds. We have numbers like that. We're going to get killed in 2010. So the Democrats have to start paying attention to the base, have to start probably picking some fights. I mean, maybe regulatory reform could be a way to do that.
All right. Thank you all. We're going to leave it there. Tavis, way out there in L.A., thank you for being with us. Sorry about the delay. Always great to have you. Thank you all very much.